gods. It looks like we're off now.
Awesome. Looks like we're seeing the Link's house into Sanctuary Place, saving quit from DT. Barrybondz immediately looking like he's heading towards escape.
Hell, there's our divergence already. DT is going the sort of standard opening where you go to Sanctuary, and then probably up to check out Lumberjack Cave, and then to Lost Woods and Kakariko. But Barry's heading straight up to escape, going to check the secret passage.
And we saw a map check from DT looking like Eastern and Hera are crystals and Desert is a pendant. Didn't look like it was the green pendant though.
Wow, it's a interesting first item. We were just talking about that. There's the Moon Pearl.
Speaking of good items too, DT getting some bombs off of the tree pool.
Yep, always good to check that tree if you're going this way, because if it has bombs or even red rupees, it can ease the next 5 or so minutes as you go through Kakariko.
Now, if the components for an early Dark World are in Kakariko, however unlikely, I'd expect any runner to immediately go to the Dark World.
Yeah, there are a lot of easy items to get as soon as you go through the Kakariko village portal to the Village of Outcasts. There's like 3 items just sitting in houses there, and then Thieves Town is a dungeon that you can almost always clear if you can get to it.
Yeah, looking like DT is getting himself some health, and Barrybondz getting even more bombs. So while DT is secure in getting all the bombable walls in Kakariko, MrBarrybondz has more than enough to check additional locations such as the Mini Moldarm Cave and the Ice Rod Cave.
You also have to consider the fact that if they find no weapons in Kakariko, which sometimes happens, they might be relying on those extra bombs to fight enemies.
That is true. So DT probably hoping for some more bombs. If not, I'd expect this runner to buy some more bombs before leaving this location.
Yes, you could either buy bombs if you have the money, or you can farm them in the Doorless Hut. But wow, look at this C's basement here.
Talk about value. We saw ether, we saw flippers, and we saw a bottle here. So an additional check in this town now. With that bottle, you can check the sick kit.
Yep, that's always convenient, because that means that you won't have to come back to do that later. It can always be annoying to leave that one loose square in a place, and then knowing that you might have to come back to it, and it becomes such a low-value location overall because there's nothing else around it.
Oh yeah. We've seen runners, they've come here, they didn't have bombs, they had to leave either the bombable wall in the well or here in Blind's house to check later on. And, you know, that's when it contains something that's required.
The hookshot has been found by DT in the well. And it's a pretty good start. That's a pseudo weapon. It can damage some enemies and stun most. And the magic cape. Interesting.
All right, if we see a lamp here soon, we might see an early Aghanim Tower advancement.
Yes, but they would also have to find a sword before they do that.
Oh, 100%.
Barrybondz is going to be picking up his hookshot. And DT looks like he's going to the hut to farm some bombs for free because he does not have 50 rupees to buy more at the shop.
Yeah, he's going to be saving money in the long run, but losing time.
We'll see what Barrybondz does here. He'll probably spend 100 here at the bottle vendor.
Yeah, we're likely to see MrBarrybondz also use that rat hut for some more bombs. So nothing lost for our runners here.
Sick kid handing out some bombs.
Not too bad.
Yeah, and there's our sword in the back of the tavern.
All right. So if we need to see this early Aghanim gamble, we need to see a lamp here soon.
Yep. Barrybondz gets a sword. DT was in and out of that library too fast for me to see what was on the shelf.
Must have been one of those moments where you're just like, it's not even worth showing the rest of the viewers.
And there's 20 rupees at the race, so DT's gonna save and quit. Knowing him, he'll probably head south to the dam next. And yep, just 20 bucks on the shelf in the library.
Alright, DT heading down to the dam, another good value location.
Yep, two quick items at the dam, and then lots of other good stuff nearby.
Yeah, and for those of you that are new to this, GT is going to be trying to do something with the hook shot. He's going to try to clip through the block to hook onto this chest and he did it.
Yep.
To get that item. So normally what you have to do is you have to push those 2 blocks out of the way, pull this switch, and then exit and re-enter to check that. But there are a couple of different ways that you can get around that. One is the hook shot. Another one is the mirror. You can spam the mirror and delete that block from existence in a 1.0 seed. And what is that? Is that a lamp I see?
How does that lamp work anymore? It was in the water.
Well, it depends on how long DT is walking outside for it to dry before he puts it to use. Otherwise, he might have a rather dim light.
Might want to like equip it and sort of swing it around as he walks.
Kind of just like skipping through the seed.
Mm-hmm. So with hookshot and flippers, in addition to all the tools you need for Aghanim, rushing Aghanim is looking a little attractive now because you'll need the Moon Pearl, of course, which Barrybondz has. But once you're in the dark world with the Moon Pearl, you have hookshot and flippers. You can hookshot across the river, north of the pyramid, and then have access to almost all of the dark world, overworld, including Hype Cave, though it's a bit of a hike because you got to go all the way around.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we don't see anything come from the Hobo or Zora or the Ledge, we might see DT head up towards Escape, get that Moon Pearl, and maybe take that Aghanim gamble.
Yeah, it's unlikely that either of them are going to. Well, it's unlikely that DT's going to go to Aghanim without the Moon Pearl because he's almost certainly going to check the secret passage on his way there.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a little bit far-fetched. It's a bit of a gamble. It's a time waste if it's not useful. So, but it could be our only way into the dark world. We're starting to run out of checkable locations here. No lift upgrade means they can't go up towards the Death Mountain area, and really it's just down to Sahasrahla and Eastern Palace and the rest of Escape that we haven't seen yet.
Yep. Of course, Eastern cannot be completed without the bow, but given that they have the lamp, they can get to all but the boss in Eastern, which means that you'll have 2 to 3 items there. So that might be a good place to check, even though you can't finish it off.
Oh yeah, it's often overlooked. During the standard tournament, they gave you a free lamp cone in the light world. Mm-hmm. So if you're just tuning in to like this tournament for your first time and you're looking at them go through Eastern, you're like, where is the light cone? Well, they took that out in open.
Yeah, they took it out in standard too, except for Escape, because you're forced through it right at the start. But in open mode, even in Escape, you don't get a free light cone. You gotta find the lamp or learn how to do the dark rooms without it.
Mm-hmm. These are all the new features of updated randomizers.
Though, should be clear that you will never be forced by the randomizer in this logic to go through a dark room without the lamp. You'll always be able to find it without walking through the dark, but at this stage of the tournament, like you're not getting to 2-0 without being able to know how to do that, most likely.
Yeah, that is interesting. DT found red mail here, and both of our runners without enough money to actually get to Zora. Just found some money on that ledge and just decided, you know what, I'm just going to bounce out.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see where MrBarrybondz goes after this. He's been in every location that DT has. DT is about to catch up with MrBarrybondz with this location check right here. So who knows? We could see an Eastern check, or we could see an Aghanim gamble here from DT. He's right in the area.
It's also possible he might try and finish escape, because there's quite a few items to be found in the castle.
I like that idea. Do escape, take the death warp, and then maybe come back for another trip around.
If you get lucky with the key placement, you might even be able to get all the way to the back room without the glove. There are 3 chests there, so that's a pretty desirable spot to get to if you can.
Oh yeah, that's actually something interesting about the open version of this seed as well. The key can actually be behind like the bonus room with the 3 extra chests if the power glove is early enough to find.
And we've got the mushroom inside the back of the hospital's hut, found by MrBarrybondz.
Oh, that could be important.
Or it could be nothing. It's these delayed items. They can be a source of anxiety.
Oh yeah, fetch quest items are always a little bit tough, and it looks like our tracker did get updated. It's actually a full crystal light world.
Yep, that's nice to see. Because the light world dungeons are, of course, easier, faster, and they require fewer items to complete. So, it's usually a little bit easier on the runners to see 3 crystals in the light world. But
oh yeah, it makes it extremely. Sorry, go ahead.
It's hard to say until we see where the pendants are in the dark world, though.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that with a full crystal light world, it makes it extremely unlikely that a pedestal seed is in store for our runners.
Yes, because with most configurations of the 3 pendants in the dark world, you'll need most of the items to get those pendants anyway, not leaving much for the pedestal. And DT getting beat up by the guards here to set up for the death warp.
Needs to be careful not to accidentally die.
Yeah, but he did it. The hook shot, unlike the boomerang, actually stuns the ball and chain guard for quite a while.
Yeah, the boomerang only stuns him long enough for you to get about a swing in, so it's like a boom swing kind of a situation.
Yeah. And DT heading for the back of escape.
And MrBarrybondz is heading towards the remaining portions of Eastern. Didn't look like he got anything from the far right chest where the compass normally is. Or no, I think that's the map. This one is the compass.
Yeah, that's right. The compass is here. Heart piece. Not exciting, but it's not an unwelcome sight when you have less than 10 hearts, in my opinion.
Yeah, more health and red mail is always appreciated.
Speaking of red, we have the wonderful red Lagarang. And unfortunately, no key for DT to get to the back of escape, so he's going to death warp here. And the fact that he's death warping instead of saving and quitting means that I think he's considering egging him. Oh, but no, he's going to save and quit anyway.
He did consider it, but 14 minutes into a seed, with still a couple other locations to check, I think he's going to put it off.
It seems like it looks like he's going to be following MrBarrybondz into escape through Sahasrah's hut. Just a compass, so no value in Eastern Palace. What will MrBarrybondz do? There's not much left to do except Aghanim, though there are a couple places I believe that they could check, such as Agina's Cave.
That might be where MrBarrybondz is heading towards right now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it.
Oh, what is this?
No, where is he going? He's going up to northwest, or no, this is northeast. He's going to check the mushroom.
Yep, that's actually really good that he's doing that. Knowledge of that portal to take him up here is not commonly utilized. A lot of people usually opt to use the mirror, or will come over here to turn in the mushroom when they're checking Zora, or they try to route it a little bit tighter. But when you're trying to put off Aghanim as long as possible, you definitely want to try up all your options. And there is the level 2 sword.
It's a level 2 sword. That's good to have, but that does not lead them away from Aghanim.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to keep beating that drum, but I am feeling that this seed is it's kind of hinting at the Aghanim play.
And I think MrBarrybondz is taking the hint.
Yeah, I mean, he might choose
he might be just going to escape and then elsewhere too.
Yeah, but the good news for MrBarrybondz is that he's coming here last to go check escape. So when he's done with here, he only has really one option to go. Whereas DT came here, checked a couple locations, and then was like, well, I still haven't done Sahasrara or Eastern.
Right. Yeah, so Agina and Zora and Aghanim appear to be the only 3 plays you can go. And I think given those odds, again, because defeating Aghanim gives you access to almost the entire Dark World overworld, as inconvenient as it might be, the odds for Aghanim are pretty good.
Oh yeah. You never like to go there, but sometimes you have to.
Yep.
So let's see. Let's start theorizing what possibilities could be on this pyramid. What could be on that pyramid that would make it so worth. I mean, they still have a lot of Dark World they can traverse, but we always want to see something good come out of an Aghanim play.
The boots are often a fun reward for Aghanim. Even if they're unrequired, sometimes you can go for a while without checking the pyramid.
I kind of like the idea of getting like a rod, either Samaria or Berna.
Yeah, those would also be 2 very nice things to see.
Actually, MrBarrybondz. Canes.
Yeah. MrBarrybondz is doing the same thing as DT, but he didn't need to. He had so much life that the ball and chain guard died before he did.
But luckily that green guard was still there to help accommodate his needs.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
Barrybondz will be heading to the back of escape. DT taking the exact same warp to check the witch's hut.
Yeah, outside of hunting for, let's see, Zora, Agina's Cave, and Aghanim are really what sit aside. Now, if one of those items, like if a lift upgrade is there or a flute is in one of those light world locations, could mean that Aghanim is not required.
Because that opens up the Death Mountain, which is a big open space with lots of items to check, especially if you have the hookshot.
It seems like both of our runners have gotten the information, understand what they need to do, and have made the same decision at once.
Yeah, I believe they're both going towards Agina's Cave. No, DT is going towards Agina's Cave. Barrybondz is making the play.
All right, here's the deciding factor. If Agina's Cave has gloves or flute, something that gives DT additional light world checks, this could be huge.
It could be.
If MrBarrybondz defeats Aghanim, already he has value because he has Dark World access. So he's going to be able to check those locations much sooner. And it just comes down to routing at that point.
Alright, here's the moment of truth. What is DT gonna find? Just a piece of heart. So
it seems that again, I really loved that play.
Aww. So, given that there's not really much of a great way to farm rupees to get to Zora, I think that we're going to see Aghanim from DT. I mean, of course, you can always do Houlihan Room, but I know DT doesn't like doing that, hasn't practiced it. So,
yeah, with how early they got flippers, it takes the easy route to get into Houlihan Room out of the picture.
Right.
Yeah, there's a couple of places that you can do it. Although I don't know if there's any that they can do without a lift upgrade.
Yeah, that's right, because the other common place I know about is that you can bomb yourself into the grave. But you need the gloves to open the grave.
Yeah, so with how this seed is going, they really had no means to do Houlihan Room unless they did it right off the bat. So that's interesting.
So it's gonna be a little bit of a match of execution here. Because, of course, there's no searching around to be done at Aghanim's Tower. It's exactly the same every time. So we'll see if MrBarrybondz can extend his early lead or if DT will catch up a bit. MrBarrybondz making the approach to Aghanim's room. Oh, he's knocked off the bridge, unfortunately. That guard is a bit of a meanie. And you might have seen there that the guard stared away his red boomerang. It's a fun little glitch that can happen sometimes. Enemies with line of sight will block your boomerang or hook shot, knock it out of the air. Alright, so let's see how many blue balls MrBarrybondz has to deal with. Of course, in the randomizer, it will be the same number for both our runners. This RNG is different in different seeds, but it's fixed for the same seed, so. And there's one.
Alright, sorry about that. How many blue balls has Barrybondz gotten so far?
Just one, I believe.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a moment to shout out our tracker today. I don't want to mispronounce that, but do you know how to pronounce it correctly, Aaron?
I do not know.
I'm gonna try my best. Just Sid? Okay, Sid. Alright, so our tracker, Sid. Thank you so much for tracking this race for us today.
Alright, we are through with Aghanim's Tower on MrBarrybondz side. What's going to be on the side of the pyramid? It is just an arrow capacity upgrade.
Alright, some junk on the pyramid.
That's okay. We have a lot of places to check now, because again, you can do the whole counterclockwise lap around the whole world.
Now I saw a pendant pod, a red pendant pod.
Interesting. It appears to be heading that way first. It's quite the play to make. given
I
that
know.
it's a pendant dungeon and you don't have bow or hammer, which restricts your movement quite a bit, possibly you'll only be able to check one chest and then have to leave.
All right, Swamp and Thieves are our other pendants, and Swamp is our green pendant.
5 and
all
6
gonna-
are at Ice and T-Rock.
Ooh. So with having 5 and 6 at T-Rock, that greatly reduces anything that the double-chested fairy would have, unless we see the components to complete Turtle Rock come up here quickly. And then a green pendant at Swamp also kind of makes it an interesting. Our runners really only need the mirror at this point, the mirror and the lift upgrade at this point in order to access that. So Sahasrahla could have something very interesting, but kind of looking at our pendants, pedestal is a possibility. Let's see.
Yep, so MrBarrybondz has to leave pod right away with nothing to find, and meanwhile DT has already swum across the river. Looks like he's going to check out what's on the cape ledge up here. He does have the cape, so if it's something nice, he'll be able to grab it.
Yeah. I was just doing some logic checking on with the pendant. So you really only need the hammer and the bow for the majority of the things that are locked out, and then Swamp Palace is missing the lift upgrade and the mirror. So pendant or pedestal could be something interesting.
That's right. Yeah, none of the pendant dungeons require the Titan's Mid, so we may see a lift upgrade on the pedestal.
That'd actually be really, really exciting. I don't think I've ever seen a lift upgrade on a pedestal yet.
Yeah, I've seen it once, and it wasn't pretty. That threw off the routing of the seat for a while. And there's our first lift upgrade. Speak of the devil. So DT's found, Bombos lift upgrade here. That's the 2 items in Skullwoods.
Typical V26 Skullwoods paying off.
And without a fire rod, he's not going to be able to complete this dungeon. So he's going to take his key here and leave, most likely. But you don't even need to look for the big key here.
Oh yeah, this and Swamp Palace share that you don't need the big key. If you do the speedrunner routing of Ice Palace, you also don't need the big key, but the logic doesn't take that into consideration.
Yeah, logic will never require you to do Ice Palace bomb jump or any other bomb jump, but it can be a huge competitive advantage if you know how to do it and your opponent doesn't. So most people who are going to get 2-0 in the main tournament are going to know how to do that and be comfortable doing so. Silvers in the C-shaped house. That is a very nice find for DT. Never required, but it speeds up so many bosses.
Oh yeah, especially depending on how these items unfold for our runners. We could see Master Sword heading into G Tower, and a Master Sword Ganon is a very tough fight, but silvers make the final phase much easier.
Yes, so when you still have Master Sword, finding silvers at any point is a very comforting thing.
So this is interesting. So MrBarrybondz chose to go to the deeper side of Skullwoods first, hoping to see if something would pop up. But we know that Skullwoods, unfortunately for him, was front loaded, so a little bit behind on obtaining those items that we saw DT acquire about a minute ago.
Yeah, Skullwoods is interesting because many of the dungeons in this game, because of how the keys work, kind of have a personality with where their items appear. For example, Pod usually has all of its items in the back because you need a lot of small keys to guarantee that you'll never key lock there. But Skullwoods is so open, and there's a lot of extra keys here that the items can be pretty much anywhere. They're not more likely to be in the front or the back.
Yeah, this is really interesting too. The routing that MrBarrybondz did. I like it because he was able to check like the big chest. He doesn't have to drop down any holes. But he's gonna get his lift upgrade here.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited about that. Gonna get this. Get this, and then I bet you he's gonna use a wall master.
Nope, he's saving and quitting.
I was thinking he was going to use a wall master. That would at least put him back towards the entrance of that dungeon that he walked in on, because he actually walked into it normally instead of falling down a hole, so it would have let him right back to that entrance.
We'll see, what is he planning to do now? With that lift upgrade, he's going to check the back of Escape.
I like this.
A little treasure trove.
So this is new information for us. Let's see what is located behind here.
$300, $5, and a key. I mean, it's nice to have a lot of money if you haven't checked Zora yet, but that doesn't really, it's not as exciting as you probably would have wanted it to be.
Oh no. Probably not upset, like you said, about like the treasure trove, but would rather there be other things than 300 rupees. So we see DT heading through Thieves Town right now. Missed a couple of the locations. And MrBarrybondz is heading up towards Death Mountain. Good play here. From both our players, I should say.
Yeah. So DT picks up a piece of heart. It's his 4th one, so he gets an extra heart container. MrBarrybondz leading the old man through the caves, back to his house. Yeah, Death Mountain, East Death Mountain especially, has a lot of items. And wow, there's a good one to start out with. That is the bow. A very important item. Needed to kill some enemies that block your way in dungeons like Palace of Darkness, Eastern Palace, Ganon's Tower.
Oh yeah, and especially for MrBarrybondz, went into Palace of Darkness and was immediately bow locked. Happy to see that bow. He might return to that dungeon.
Yep. Meanwhile, DT not finding much in Thieves Town, but I think he's only found 2 items here so far. Unless I missed one.
Yeah, I think he's definitely he's making the gamble that the big key chest doesn't have anything. Because that is the only thing that he cannot check right now in this dungeon. So if we see a dungeon item here, then DT is gonna may have to return to here.
Blind is dead. Pretty quick fight.
Ooh.
Just given the map. And what are those? Those are the boots. The Death Mountain certainly seems to have been the play here.
Oh yeah, I was about to say MrBarrybondz is making quick work of this Death Mountain check. So much value here so shortly.
And MrBarrybondz finds another 300 rupee stash. He's got enough money to play the rest of the seed already for sure.
Looks like he's going to set up for this bomb jump here.
Oh, just misses it. I find it's a little tough to set up bomb jumps like that if you're playing as a character who's like covering up most of their shadow.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's why people try to learn the sword placements of it, but I'm not too familiar with how these bomb jumps work, like the 2 extra ones in Death Mountain and then the extra ones in Ice Palace. See, DT played the digging game, heading towards Stump Kid. making his way around to the Hive Cave.
Oh, that's a fire rod.
So beautiful. Although, do you think it's probably a good idea that DT took that fire rod away from the Stump Kid?
Yeah, that might be a little dangerous. In Spiral Cave, we have more money.
All right,
MrBarrybondz is probably sick of money.
I mean, Death Mountain did have a lot of good value. Had the bow, had the boots, but after that, it just wasn't really paying off for him. So looks like BarryBondz is gonna start collecting crystals.
All right, guys, you ready for Hype Cave?
Ooh, literacy.
Oh, that's not bad. That's okay, Hype Cave. You did all right this time.
That remains to be seen. That book could still lead us nowhere.
It could, but at least, you know, like a little bit of hope. That's better than Hype Cave usually gets you.
I think we're gonna see DT doing a pedestal check here. 30 minutes in, got the book kind of early, and you've already collected one of the pendants. You might be wanting to say to yourself, okay, if I have a pendant already, is it worth it going into these dungeons, full clearing them, and then getting an... oh, actually, no.
No.
I forgot he did pick up that mitt, so he's going to get a bow.
So, given the fact that he has the fire rod now, he might be waiting until he gets a mirror so that he can do the pedestal check along with finishing Skullwoods. Meanwhile, MrBarrybondz is going to head into Eastern and finish off the Armos Knights. DT picks up his bow. He's going to continue on.
Quick worker of the Greenies room. Ooh.
Yeah, BarryBondz does not have silvers because he has not been to the Village of Outcasts yet. The silvers were in the C-shaped house. It's going to slow him down a little bit in comparison to DT on this boss, but Armos is a pretty fast boss either way, so it's not a huge deal.
Oh yeah.
As long as he remembers to pick up a few arrows here.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he just needs to watch his arrow count. He was getting really low.
Because he would not have had enough to finish them off, even with perfect shooting. So it's a good thing he remembered to pick up some free arrows from the pot there. Yeah, messed up the setup a bit, but still, it's fine. It's fine. It means a few seconds. The Red Armor's trolling him a bit, though. That guy's so annoying.
Yeah, had the setup, but it happens every once in a while. You get really happy with spamming that arrow. We're spamming that bow, and you actually fire 4 instead of 5.
And DT's gonna try the same bomb jump here, and he is successful. Also, that's a good point, yeah. Armos basically repaid the arrows he used to defeat him. It's like... more like he went over to the corpse of the Armos Knights, plucked out the arrows for reuse. Just sort of found the ones that were still usable and pocketed them. And yeah, it looks like, as you predicted earlier, Ninnies, MrBarrybondz is going to go ahead and continue through the Palace of Darkness. Without a hammer, he will not be able to finish it, but he will be able to access everything else.
I mean, you did get the bow a little bit later, and you started already the check of House of Darkness. I mean, I don't disagree with this play, as Pod could have a lot of value.
5 items to be found in there.
I just kind of wonder if, coming back to it with your second dip in, still without like the mirror, is worth it when there's still a lot of other locations for you to check.
DT also finding the treasure trove in the back of Escape to be worthless. What's he gonna do now?
I'm not sure.
He's heading up. Oh, he's checking bonk rocks, of course.
Oh yeah, he just got the boot, so Barrybondz is making his way through the right side of House of Darkness.
Bonk rocks just having a hard piece. How to deal with turtles without hammer? You don't. There's no way to defeat them without a hammer.
You just hope they don't hurt you too much.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're playing a death warp.
Yeah, then you hope that they hurt you a lot. Nope, Quake cannot knock them over.
Yeah, see, this is a hammerless and a mirrorless pod kind of a thing. So MrBarrybondz has to basically go all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon. Let me see, DT
Here's
making the sword upgrade right there on the desert ledge.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's a nice thing to find early, and DT's going to be able to grab it. So this is going to be a good thing for him. The Master to Tempered upgrade is a big one. It's probably the single most helpful difference between 2 adjacent sword levels.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Butter Sword is nice. It cuts through a lot of enemies, but it doesn't give you that same kind of advantage against bosses that the Tempered Sword does.
Yeah, and the fact that most enemies have so little HP that they will get one shot by the Tempered Sword anyway means that for... Oh, wow. Let me interrupt myself to say that the mirror was in Palace of Darkness.
Oh yeah, and the big key chest.
Yep.
So not a bad gamble. I was afraid that this kind of thing wasn't gonna pan out for MrBarrybondz here. The second dip in the pod.
But hey, it worked.
Oh yeah, he's got to be happy about this decision.
DT finding the swagnet. Too bad he's already fought Aghanim 1. Maybe he'll use it against Aghanim 2.
I mean, we all know that Aghanim 1 is a gimme, and so you don't need to have the bug net by then. But I mean, there should be no excuse why you don't have the bug net for the second Aghanim.
I got to point out that because they have the boots, I want to see some net dashing.
Oh yeah. And for those of you that are not familiar with the whole Aghanim net thing, the net is actually one of the items that you can use against Aghanim in order to knock the blue ball, or not knocking the blue balls back, but knock the energy balls back towards them.
I would also like to point out that there was another great find from MrBarrybondz, the Titan's Mitt in the basement of Pod.
That is great. That's amazing, actually. So Mirror and Titans here for Barrybondz. If Palace of Darkness has another good item here, that would just, I mean, we already have the, it's not really a standard, but I have heard it said a couple of times that if Aghanim is required, Palace of Darkness is always going to have something for you.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that before, but I'll have to start paying attention.
It seems to be paying off for Barrybondz.
Yep, but I believe that's all he can do in Pod, so he's going to leave. But with the mirror, he's got to be feeling good about himself. Meanwhile, DT is moving the wall to face Lanmola. He's gonna, take out the silver arrows. Hopefully just hit each of them with one right away. Misses the first one, but gets the other two. A book was in Darkworld Hype Cave.
And there's the
wow!
hammer.
That is huge. Both our runners have gone in completely opposite directions and are both finding a lot of great stuff. The hammer opens up quite a bit. And also, if you're a DT fan, you gotta hope that that's going to point him towards Pod, because now he can be sure that he can complete it.
Oh yeah. Not just that, but it also makes the pod choice better. I mean, at least for us to know. But if DT was to go to Pod first, get that mirror, could easily make the transition over to Eastern Palace.
Yep. That's often a good thing to do if you can, because you don't have to make the hike out from the nearest warp point to that pair of dungeons twice.
Chad does bring up a good point. Is this a Tower of Hera play?
I don't see what else he would be doing up here.
Interesting. Two of our runners taking separate routes, but heading towards the same location.
Nice. So even with this crazy divergence, we're going to get high five here.
Yeah, it looks like DT choosing to check out Ether because he has the ability to. So it's going to keep him out of the dungeon for a couple of seconds.
More money from the gods.
Death Mountain is clearly the hoarding spot for rich men in Hyrule.
And probably the old man wandering around, getting lost in the caves all the time, dropping his money and forgetting how to get back to it.
Thinking to himself, nobody is mad enough to scale my mountain to steal me gold.
It's hard to say who's ahead. I don't think we can definitively say that one or the other is ahead right now.
Oh no, each of them have separate advantages. DT has silvers and the fire rod.
And the hammer.
And the hammer, yes. And also tempered sword. MrBarrybondz has the Titan's mitt and the mirror. So if you're looking at like weighted items as far as like how much they have to add to the value of a seed, depending on their weight, I'd say Titan's mitt and mirror beat out the majority of items in terms of weight.
That's true. But again, it's hard to say because that depends a lot on the seed. If there is nothing but junk in most of the little hammer exclusive spots in the overworld, having hammer early can actually slow you down a bit. Sorry, not hammer, but mirror. But
yeah, so what is it? The false breadcrumbs?
Yeah, exactly. So it's why it's so hard to tell. You can't say one is ahead of the other.
Well, that's a little bit spooky.
Yeah, DT has been setting up a death warp for quite a while, just eating hits from the tiles because he does not have the mirror. So it's a slightly quicker way back to the entrance.
Alright, so it's looking like Moldorm is going to have the final item in this dungeon.
And we're going to find out what it is hopefully soon, as long as Trolldorm doesn't troll too hard.
Yeah, looks like we're going to see Master Sword spins from Barrybondz here. And then DT's going to have a much quicker fight, though. What DT has to do is get one slash and one spin on Moldorm here, and then he's down, or 3 hammer hits. But easy fight for MrBarrybondz.
Yep, no problem at all. And only getting more money for the treble.
Ooh, DT trying to set up for that dash across the bumper.
Fortunately, not quite in position. Ends up running down the hole instead. He gets it that time, though. Meanwhile, MrBarrybondz with the mitts and the hookshot, he's going to the East Dark Death Mountain, going to pick up all the items over there, and there are quite a few of them.
And then there is another easy destruction of Moldorm for DT here. So MrBarrybondz checking the Super Bunny Cave, as it's called. Reason being is that you can actually come to this cave if the seed in previous seeds where progression wasn't a thing, or if you're lucky enough to get the Titan's Mint before the Moon Pearl. You can fall down this hole right here, and it would put you into a Super Bunny state if you were without the Moon Pearl.
Yep, and when you do that, you can push blocks and open chests, which is enough to grab these two. Though, again, that's one of the things that the randomizer will never require, but it is legal to do, and it can be a minor sequence break if something useful there.
Oh yeah, but you don't really ever see it paying off in that way. Really quick, looking like, was that Quake on nope, Bombos. It was Bombos.
Yeah, I think it was Bombos.
Yeah, unfortunately, while you guys are getting a beautiful crystal clear presentation, the commentary stream is a little bit pixelated, so fast checks like that, sometimes we can't make out those medallion checks as well. But that's why we have you, chat. You help us out when we can't see.
Unfortunately, Hookshot Cave had nothing but a dinner plate and some more junk.
And then here is the pedestal check. So everybody who wants to see a pedestal seed, get hype. We're running low on items that the pedestal could contain here.
All right. Let's see. What could we have here? Just couch cash.
Yep.
$20 or $50. Neither of which these runners want or need. DT with an even 2,000 rupees. They both have more money than they could possibly want.
I think that's the most amount of money I've seen.
It's actually pretty rare to see a rupee total of over 2,000. Meanwhile, DT hitting this warp to go up towards Zora.
I mean, at this stage in the seed, Zora's got to have something, right?
I mean, hard to say he gotta have something, but we're sort of running out of new places to look that neither of the runners have been to. However, MrBarrybondz is in the village of Outcast. He's surely going to find a silver soon. Oh man,
that's a tough break. That is actually the majority of Zora plays. It's always just heartbreak.
And not only did he not have anything useful, he gave DT a little more money, ruining the nice round number he could have had. So cool seeing 2,000. I mean, 1,500 wouldn't have been too bad, but 1,505 is not a fun number at all.
Yeah, there's no memes around 1505.
It's not even fun to say.
Unless... Is this the predicted finishing time of our racers?
15 hours and 5 minutes?
You know, legit, I was joking, but like, if that actually happens, like, my mind's gonna blow. This is cosmic brain stuff right here. So it looks like DT's going into Eastern first, and we lost his timer.
Oh no.
All right, so we've seen a lot of items, and most of our runners are checking similar dungeons. Where do you think these items are residing? The remainder of them. We need an ice rod. We need Can of Samaria. We need a flute. And those are the ones we got to find to continue the rest of the seed. So where do you want to see these items sprinkled about?
I want to see something in Ice Palace. I like Ice Palace.
You know something that I've seen? A seed earlier today that was done in a race. Ice Palace contained both the Cane of Samaria and the bow.
Nice.
So Ice Palace can contain some incredible value. And we have a way in there. Barrybondz has the Titan's Mitt, and we know that he found them in Pod. DT's probably going to be heading over there soon.
Yeah, I can't imagine he puts off Pod for too much longer. It's a very valuable location. He has all the stuff he needs to finish it. What's he doing? He's gonna hook speed, and he is heading to the right. So I'm pretty sure he's going to Pod now.
He absolutely is. Alright, so DT's going to have a little bit more of a good time. So it looks like what ended up happening might have been a little bit of an like a hiccup or something, because it looked like on like the SRL there's a little internet hiccup, so maybe that's why the timer got reset for DT. It's certainly nothing that my prediction had anything to do with. But no, this is good because DT has the hammer and the bow already coming in here, so it's one check on Barrybondzd's 2. So if you're looking for, you're rooting for DT to pull through, this is time saved for him against his opponent. If you're pulling for MrBarrybondz, he's actually in a really good position here to acquire a lot of good items. He's going to get the fire rod. He's going to be looking around, and he's going to be in position to maybe check Swamp Palace here. It's got the mirror in tow, and it's on his route. Although I would advise against that. Just now looking at his tracker, does not have the hammer, which we know is in Desert Palace.
Yep. But unfortunately, he's not really anywhere near Desert Palace. So...
Nope, he needs to get that book.
So, like, this is one of those locations I was talking about earlier where, like, if this is nothing, then finding your early mirror can slow you down a bit. And given that DT's already been down this way, he might avoid putting that off once he finds the mirror. Or he might avoid going there once he has the mirror. Which might be a little bit of extra time in his favor.
It depends. It depends on where he goes. I could easily see a bombsmith, hammer peg, green, or lunchbox kind of a play.
That's true.
Nice little combo there. Something that's interesting that you can do with like the bow and sword beams. There's a couple of ways that things line up, and you can actually hit like, the crystal switches in a way that you're not normally supposed to. All right, Barrybondz with the book in hand.
Is he going to go to Desert Palace now?
I don't see why you shouldn't. Go ahead and doing that, and then check in Bombos on the way.
Tablet, yeah, on the way.
Exactly. That'll be his first tablet, and more new information for us. Oh, where are you going, MrBarrybondz?
I think he's heading that way. Yeah, okay. He's going there.
I was gonna say, he got me scared for a second. Is he making that, okay, the hammer's gonna be in the first chest in Swamp Palace Gamble? It's happened before. It's not fun, but it's happened. What do you got for us today, Mombos?
What gift from the gods are we about to be bestowed with? More money!
Yeah, still more money.
Alright, but he's heading to Desert Palace now. Gonna see that tempered sword. Gonna get excited.
Yeah, one of the goddesses, Din, up there is just like, you know what? I don't think that I've been generous to these racers enough. Here's $20 more.
I don't know, maybe the goddesses are being spiteful and saying, what, you want more money? You're gonna complain about how much money you have? Here. I'll give you nothing but money and see how you like it.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to money from the sky.
Yeah, neither would I. As long as it doesn't hit me on the head too hard.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. Those rupees are pretty big compared to their body sizes.
Yeah, and they got that sharp point. Think about how far they have to fall from the sky. Gotta build up a bit of speed.
I'm suddenly scared of money from the sky now.
Alright, DT picked up his Titan's Mitt.
Beautiful. MrBarrybondz getting the key.
Our player's inventory is looking a little more in sync now.
Oh yeah. Barrybondz going to be getting that tempered sword. Can't imagine him getting it after Landmola, so we're probably going to see him get it right after this room.
Earlier question, does swinging the sword help for the bomb jump? I believe that swinging the sword there helps you sort of buffer your input and move as little as possible at once.
Correct.
So, yep, so that you can get on the exact pixel you need.
Mm-hmm. Slashing the sword and moving, it's kind of like an input right after another. So you press down, and then like right after pressing down in quick succession, you slash your sword. It allows you to move one pixel at a time. It's a advanced tactic because you have to understand how many pixels Link moves going north, south, east, or west.
And there's the tempered sword for MrBarrybondz. Meanwhile, we're going to get our first look soon at what the Helmosaur King is holding. Because again, MrBarrybondz did not have the hammer when he went to Pod. So this is some new information upcoming. Alright, here's Helmosaur King. 17 hits to the mask with the hammer will break it open, and then a single silver arrow to the forehead or 4 slashes from the tempered sword will finish him off. And just like that, 1 arrow, he's done. And it's just an arrow capacity upgrade. Not helpful.
But I mean, I definitely like the idea of going all the way through with this dungeon. I mean, you have the necessary equipment, and being able to fully clear this dungeon and just be done with it, it's a lot easier on the mind.
Yep, absolutely. No anxiety left. It's something he doesn't have to think about anymore.
Mm-hmm. And our players are synced. They've both been to the majority of locations. The only difference is that Barrybondz has not actually completed Palace of Darkness, so they are tied on crystals and items now.
Yep. And DT is not an East Dark Death Mountain, so that's a minor thing, but it's something that DT might opt to do later, which will spend some time on nothing but a shield upgrade.
Oh, this is exciting. We're getting a synced ice palace.
Oh yeah.
Now this is your call. All right, let's see. See if
my
Aaron
favorite
is the
dungeon.
wizard.
My favorite dungeon, and I can like cross my eyes and watch it in 3D.
If only they were that synced. I don't want you to get a headache.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop trying to do that now.
Oh my goodness, you were actually doing that? Aaron, why? But yeah, alright. So DT making quick work of this, utilizing that hook shot to kill those penguins. BarrybondZ choosing to do a sword spin method.
I mean, both work, but I think the hook shot is faster and more reliable here.
Oh, absolutely. Because as you saw, if you miss a couple of those spins, things can go wrong. Ooh, ice movements.
It's one of my favorite things about this dungeon is how the terrible ice physics encourage using the hook shot as much as possible, and you can really use that item to its full potential here. Pull yourself around each individual screen, and lots of enemies here that are one-shot by the hook shot. It's a really fun showcase of hook shot tech if you're good at that.
I also like alternate moving properties. So like options. So like you can use the hammer, you can use sword spins, you can kind of like buffer your dashes to help you like stop gliding, continue gliding around the ice.
You can like use sword swings to turn your momentum on a dime.
Oh yeah, you can get some crazy momentum with sword swings. You can get yourself going directly in like to like the left and then slash up, and then all of a sudden you're full blast going up. Alright, BarrybondZ doing this bomb jump a little bit trickier. Very nice though.
Yep, first try. Not a problem at all.
I've always found the bomb jump to be a little bit trickier with the sprites that have like skirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you can't really use the edges of their shadow as easily. This bomb jump is a cool one that DT just did. This lets him get over here easy, which lets him skip the room where you have to sort of hook shot across with the red jellies. Oh no, sorry, he's going right there. He doesn't have a key to skip it, unfortunately.
Yeah, we saw Mr. BarrybondZ practicing this earlier, so he's choosing not to do that.
Yep. Picking up a key.
He's actually going to the
back.
Yeah, he's going to the north room here in the cross.
Yeah, so he's just not doing the.
Ooh, he needs to
not
be
doing the
careful.
long jump at all. Yeah, three hearts even with red mail.
I think he has.
Not so comfortable.
I think he has a red potion.
Yeah, I believe that's true, but he's got to be careful that he doesn't like get comboed to death before he has a chance to take it out and drink. There's butter. Nice.
Got ourselves a cold butter sword here. Maybe that's how it holds its shape.
Yeah, as soon as we take it out of this dungeon, take it to Turtle Rock, it's just gonna melt and we're left with nothing. Of course, like, where would you expect to find a stick of butter except Hyrule's natural fridge? BarrybondZ gets his butter sword. It's a Hargatainer, so, I mean, butter sword's nice to have, but we have found no progression here so far.
But both of our racers have what's necessary to defeat Cold Stare, though. So that's at least a crystal in their pocket.
Mm-hmm. It's also one of the crystals 5 and 6, which open up the double-chested fairies location.
I'm actually thinking that they're really... I mean, the only thing that could really be there at this point that would really help them would be the flute.
And the flute would be good. I believe Red Cane could also be here. That would be a big help. Of course, we know Ice Rod is required, so maybe a thematically appropriate Ice Rod placement is about to happen.
But yeah, Double Chested Fairy really could only have something that could lead to the flute at this point, unfortunately. DT choosing to use Bombos. It's a good play. I like that. Allows you to break the ice and still maintain some of the magic that you need. He's not going to need it.
Doesn't even need it.
Yeah, but it's going to save a little bit of frames. He didn't take a lot of damage, and it doesn't have to take as much time to refill that magic bar.
It's true.
Sometimes when your opponent is so close to you, I mean, granted they don't know, but when your opponent's close to you, any time that you can save frames is something that you should look into. We've actually seen a race lost at the the Ganon fight right at the very end, just depending on where you are in the arena when the fanfare starts.
Oh no! Yeah, and that's a funny thing too, because if you stand too close to where the bridge spawns, you can get a glitch where the bridge doesn't spawn right away, and you can accidentally just walk off into the pit because you're expecting a bridge to be there, but it's not.
Yeah, we've often seen racers wait at least a couple of seconds to go in there just to make sure they don't fall down and have to do the fight all over again. So DT's making that Dark World Death Mountain excursion. Gonna get the information that Bombos is needed for Turtle Rock, which is good for him because he already has it. Unfortunately, nothing really is going to be up here for DT. That's going to lead MrBarrybondz to head out to a new location as he's already been here.
Hey, now, I wasn't calling anyone out.
Oh yeah, we only care about the racers that are going on right now. We got plenty of time to worry about everybody else that's racing.
Alright. So DT checks Bombos and is going to Hookshot Cave to pick up his dinner plate.
I do believe that the graveyard ledge was not checked.
Yeah, no one's been up there yet.
Let's see. Barrybondz was the closest person to be there, but decided to just check King's Tomb and then go from there.
Alright, what's the next play for our runners? Barrybondz might be checking... I wasn't sure. Has he checked Bonk Rocks yet?
Yeah, MrBarrybondz did both the Bonk Rocks.
Okay.
But it looks like he's going to be going up towards Skull Woods.
Yeah, that's not a bad play at all. It's something you got to do eventually.
Man, are we seeing another synced dungeon check?
We might very well be. Though, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think MrBarrybondz has checked the pedestal yet, which might be why he's prioritizing it now.
Oh, DT's going down. Yeah. Is this a Dwarven Breadsmith?
It might be. So yeah, like as I mentioned, MrBarrybondz is probably prioritizing this because he has not checked the pedestal yet, but DT already has. He knows that Skullwoods is just something that he's got to do when he can. Or whenever he wants to, really. It doesn't matter when. Because it's not a crystal 5 or 6. It's just a crystal.
Oh, here's the graveyard ledge. Flute Cannon and Ice Rod are still required to finish the seed off.
Just bombs in the graveyard ledge, unfortunately. Nothing of value there. Originally DT forgot that putting the portal right in front of the door, it means you're gonna have an unavoidable mirror block later.
Yeah, sometimes you're just so excited to check new locations.
Alright, here's Mothula on MrBarrybond's side. Gets in an early hit with the Fire Rod, but with the Butter Sword, this boss is nothing. No problem at all. And he makes quick work of it. Well done fight.
Just a tiny little moth, no big deal.
Yep, just squishing a bug. Squishing a bug that has psychic lasers and also is apparently friends with a lot of inanimate spiked objects.
Oh yeah, and as Wizro puts it, one of the known bugs in this game.
Yes. Known very well. And not too fondly. Now, I never thought of that. It's funny that Mothula itself is a bug and is also the buggiest boss fight in this whole game.
I like to think that it's their way of just keeping things, keeping things together. If you're gonna have a buggy boss, you might as well have him be a bug.
Exactly. Alright, so we got some hammer pegs here from DT. Doing the tried and true hammer dash strat. Yeah, Net can't damage Mothula, but that would be pretty funny. You'd capture Mothula, put him in a bottle.
That sounds like a Wizrobe thing.
And release him on another boss. Yo, the Cane
I would
Smith.
actually love that.
So, the Dwarven Blacksmiths awarding DT with their newly created cane.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's not often that you get a fresh cane forged for you for a seed.
Yeah, it's got to be like nice and like pleasantly warm to hold.
Oh yeah, it's never even been used.
No, it's got to be like shiny. I love shiny canes.
I mean, there's so often that we find this cane just like in really weird locations. Sometimes buried in the ground, just like beaten up and dirty.
I love when you have a chance to treat a cane with respect before it's been like weathered and beaten down by the world.
And lost to time. So MrBarrybondz getting himself the Cane of Samaria. DT taking the lunchbox on an adventure. And yeah, I don't know. Do you think a swamp check is coming up here soon?
Yeah, I think that is probably the next play after this.
Oh. Hold that thought.
Nah, I don't think he's going there. He's going to check Swamp before he goes out there. Of course, he's going to check Bombos first. He hasn't been there yet. MrBarrybondz has, so that might actually even them up a bit here. Though, MrBarrybondz doesn't seem to have any intentions of going to Swamp next if he mirrored there.
Unless he's...
Neither does DT, wow.
Unless Barrybondz is wrong. Going to save and quit and go up to Turtle Rock? Both of our racers heading to go check the dig spot.
Wow. I said it like so confidently that they weren't going to do this right away, but they're both doing it now.
Aw, just some love.
No. Now we're getting a little bit of divergence, maybe. Or maybe they're both taking the same way to Swamp. No,
I don't know where they're
DT's
going at this point.
I'm so confused right now.
All right, DT possibly heading up to Quakefish,
Maybe.
and BarryBondz is heading to. I feel like this is a swamp play. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah, it looks like it. He's heading down towards swamp now. Yeah, DT is indeed going to the catfish.
All right, this could be another advantage of BarryBondz heading into a dungeon, panda dungeon that is, and pulling an item of worth.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta think that the odds are in his favor here, because with the green pendant, Swamp Palace effectively has 7 items to be found. The catfish coughing up a whole lot of nothing.
Right.
Is DT heading towards swamp as well? Sure seems like it.
Well, there's not too many choices, really. It's either here or Turtle Rock. And Turtle Rock without the ice rod,
It's a gamble.
I mean, you don't want to see it in Turtle Rock.
What dungeon has the most items? Besides Ganon's Tower, it's Swamp Palace.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, Palace of Darkness and Turtle Rock are tied with 5.
Yep.
Thieves Town has 4. Eastern, Eastern, and
Eastern has 3.
Eastern, I think there's another one. Oh, Ice Palace also has 3.
Yeah, Ice Palace has 3.
Hera, Desert, Mire, and Skullwoods all have 2.
And Ganon's Tower has 20.
Oh yeah, that place is a marvelous place.
It's a marvelous place, but you're usually stressed out to the max while you're there, so you don't have a lot of time to stop and enjoy the sights. So Mr. BarryBondz is heading to the back of Swamp Palace first. We'll see if DT does the same strategy.
With a pendant Swamp Palace, I think this is probably a better play.
Probably. I know that DT will always do that strategy if he is only 1 item from Go mode. But I'm not sure how he feels about this if there are 2 items he needs to find.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the ice rod.
There's one of them. So, Mr. BarryBondz has everything he needs for Turtle Rock now. So that'll probably be his next visit. Unless he finds Flute here, in which case he is in Go mode and probably heading straight to Mire. DT is not skipping the left side. So if Flute happens to be here, it's going to pay off for him. Though Mr. BarryBondz might end up checking that out anyway. No, he's just turning around and leaving. Yep, Mr. BarryBondz is heading straight to Turtle Rock. 5 items there. He has everything he needs to do to finish it and get a crystal.
DT continuing the left side check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if Flute ends up here, it's going to be pretty big. Like, that would put DT firmly in the lead. That's about the only thing that could do it, unless, like, well, of course, something like Powder could be here and lead to Flute.
Yeah, it might be interesting if DT chooses to go all the way and get the pendant here.
You found something that is vaguely shaped like the Flute, but not the Flute.
You know, there's been numerous times that I've seen bombs when I'm looking for the Flute, and you just go, oh.
Yeah, I know. It's like your heart jumps into your throat for a second, and then
it's the worst thing ever.
And then just that soft, warm glow of disappointment.
After that, you never look at bombs the same way again.
It's kind of sad, really.
It is. Alright, so let's see. Does DT make the gamble and pick up this pendant, yay or nay?
Knowing him, I think he's not leaving this dungeon until he has 6 items under his belt.
Mm-hmm. How about you, chat? How do you feel, yay or nay? Getting some yays in chat.
There's a blue cane. Right color, wrong item.
Ooh, DT going back. Gonna check that big chest, huh?
Yep.
Oh no,
Most
wait,
likely.
he didn't go here yet. Oh, okay, yeah, I've seen this play before.
Yeah, so that's something that I do sometimes too. That because if the big key's up there, that saves you quite some time. DT successfully avoiding the stairs glitch.
Oh yeah. So both of our racers just need to find the Flute. That is the Flute and maybe one medallion. Oh, he doesn't do it.
Nope, he is not picking up that green pendant.
Ooh, this
That's
could be
surprising, but
yeah, this actually for DT, this is really surprising. Knowing him, he likes to full clear dungeons, but I think what he's thinking is, you know, I just need to find the Flute. Turtle Rock is now 100% completable, and it has 5 items in it. Not worth going all the way through Argus. So I kind of agree with this play. I mean, both of our racers are giving us kind of like the same dungeon experience, chain one after another. But right now, Barrybondz has the advantage of being a little bit farther in here. But the chain chomps are definitely working on the side of GT.
oh yeah.
I can see the puppet strings. You can't see the puppet strings?
Yeah, if you like look really closely, you can see that thin line going from DT's screen on the left to Mr. Barrybondz on the right.
What a malicious marionette we have on our hands. All kidding aside, yeah, it looked like Mr. Barrybondz was having a lot of trouble with those. The chain chomps is not an easy room to handle. If you get really bad RNG, you kind of have to do your best to kind of coordinate and get that Samaria block to hit those. Kind of do it with whatever you got. Arrows, hook shots.
Yeah, the annoying thing is that the chain chomps do a ton of damage and it's not very well mitigated by a mail upgrade. So you're just going to eat a lot of damage there if you're not careful.
Oh yeah. And looking at our timers here, Mr. Barrybondz here at 128, so you gotta think this seed's given us a lot of items so fast, and they've been able to acquire almost every single or have access to acquire almost every single crystal. So like an hour 30 in, that's pretty good timing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll probably see a Mimic Cave check from Mr. Barrybondz in a second here. It's easy to forget, like, despite the fact that Turtle Rock has 5 items, it really is more like it has 6 because of the Mimic Cave.
That is true. I never really thought of it that way. It kind of makes it almost like a pseudo swamp palace of sorts.
Yeah, it kind of does.
I mean, granted, both of these dungeons are about as long as each other.
Mm-hmm. They're both rather large and slow dungeons. Turtle Rock, mostly because it has a lot of difficult enemies you kind of need to dance around, and these like really slow platform on a rail sections.
Yeah, that you have no choice but to get around.
Yep, and Swamp Palace, of course, has a lot of backtracking, and of course the swimming sections are always a little slow.
Oh, DT also getting bad RNG here.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, nice cane dash.
Yep.
It's actually one of my favorite item dashes.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh no!
He cane dashed it in the perfect location.
Yeah. Something I'm surprised is that I'm always surprised that I see as many runners as I do using the cane in that room. Because if you don't do it perfectly, you're going to end up losing a lot of time. Especially, like, I think pulling out a boomerang is usually better there. Yeah, season chat, we're talking about the fake powder glitch. So how that works is that if you have the cane and the mushroom, what you can do is you can spend all your magic, try and cast the cane, which will fail with a buzzing noise, and then immediately, as the cane is being cast, switch to mushroom, and then you will throw out some powder without actually having the powder. That works on anti-fairies, and it also works in the Bat Cave. Can be a way to sequence break that location.
Oh yeah, I was really surprised. I had never heard of this or seen this before, so when I saw a racer doing it, I was like, what is happening? It's as if the whole world came crumbling around me. There's the flute!
There's the flute! Oh wow.
Barrybondz is now in Go mode. This is great too, because for DT, he's in the same dungeon. He's going to be in Go mode shortly after, and this is just going to come down to execution.
Yep, execution, and of course the choice of how you explore Misery Mire and Ganon's Tower. Well, everyone pretty much goes the same way in Misery Mire. But it is close enough that a difference in opinion on how to route GT could end up swinging the lead. That's a good point. We do not know the Mire requirement yet. So, if Mire requires Quake, we might be in for a little more searching.
That is true. We got ahead of ourselves. We're so excited we saw the flute. We completely forgot about Mire. Alright.
Alright, Trinex is done on this
premature Go mode, though.
Potential Go mode. Schroding Go mode. Yeah, Blind said he didn't say either Quake or Bombos. He says either Quake or Bombos. Which is, of course, the three possible items it could be. So you gotta read it a little slowly. If you're rushing too fast, and I mean, you know, this is a race. You might misread it, but he just names the three medallions, so he doesn't actually give you any information at all.
I have made that mistake myself into thinking that it was an actual fact, and then he was telling me something about the seed.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, please don't do that. Don't listen to Blind ever.
Blind's a jokester. He's just here to make you laugh.
I believe, what is it, the uncle telling you where boots are is out?
That option is still there, but it's not selected by default, so you won't see that in official weekly races or tournament races.
Okay, because I do remember that that's really the only person that you can really listen to.
Mm-hmm.
That and Sahasrahla, because Sahasrahla will tell you what the green pendant is.
Even the uncle sometimes would make a joke saying, boots at race, seed confirmed impossible. Which is, of course, a lie.
Gotta
And
love
of
those
course,
uncle
I mean,
quotes.
yeah, there's always the fact that we're playing open mode, so we don't get to talk to the uncle at the start of the game, so it wouldn't matter for this tournament.
I mean, I kind of miss it though.
Yeah, there's always a nice way to start off a race. Some wit and wisdom from the doomed man.
All right, what is Meyer? Bombos.
All right,
So yes, confirmed this time, 100% go mode.
go mode. MrBarrybondz creates a ring of fire.
Nobody's really winning, but Barrybondz does have the advantage of time and being one crystal ahead of DT.
Yep, DT still has to drop by Skull Woods to finish off Mafula.
Yeah, I'd say about 2 minutes. Travel time, getting over there. You have to activate the flute. I would like to see DT activate the flute, do Skull Woods, and then run over to Meyer.
Yeah, it's given that he just has to drop into the Skull Woods boss room, take out the boss. It's not a tremendous deficit, but it is a meaningful one.
Oh, there's Quake.
Barry does not have to finish Pod because Pod has a pendant.
Yeah, DT completed a couple of pendant dungeons, hoping that pedestal or that the boss would be holding something. Ooh, Barry taking a lot of damage here.
So yes, Barry is definitely ahead, but there's still enough execution that there's no way we can call it yet. Ganon's tower can go awry very quickly. Though of course, I mean, Red Melon Buttersword, it's going to be a little bit safer than usual, I suppose. Interesting. So MrBarrybondz is heading over here to check this chest first. Finding only a small key, so that didn't work out, unfortunately.
I mean, often it's we've seen it be like the big key from time to time, so it's not a bad idea to check like these locations early before going to the vanilla big key location, which Barrybondz now has to go to. DT making quick work of Skull Woods, going the route that I was hoping that he would. Just that way he'd be able to knock this dungeon out, get that crystal, and be right on pace with where he needs to go next. Barrybondz is really close to finishing off this dungeon though. He's going to be in G Tower relatively soon here.
Very clean Mafula fight from DT. It's about as smooth as you can ask for from this boss.
Oh yeah. And there's the big key in the vanilla chest.
Yep. Oh, that's where I left the key. Right where it's supposed to be.
So yeah, if you're a Barrybondz fan, you gotta feel good about his routing. He's done a really good job with making these gambles. Really, the only thing that I think that he did that just netted him loss was the early Palace of Darkness check and kind of coming in there without the hammer the second time. But I mean, he made quick work of that dungeon, and it was bow locked really early, so didn't lose way too much time on that one. DT made a lot of extra gambles, decided to go all the way through on some of these dungeons to get the pendant in hopes of an item there. But as you can see, even with all of those things, our racers are not too far behind each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we can still see a comeback through execution alone on DT side.
Or, a different route in Ganon's Tower. That can change things in a big way as well. To answer a question in chat, how the Mothula fight was fixed, I believe, was that your butter sword is treated as a tempered sword while you're in that room. So doing a tempered spin will not damage Mothula. He's still immune to that because it counts as gold sword damage.
Yeah, I do believe you are correct. Yeah, the butter sword didn't do damage before. I believe in version 6 was the last time that the butter sword didn't do damage. You actually had to poke dash Mothula.
And it was important that they changed it after version 6 because version 6 was the last one where the swords were not randomized, so the butter sword was always in the same spot, so you could avoid getting butter before Mothula. But now that the swords are random and everywhere, that failsafe is very much appreciated. Man, DT missing out on the big key location. He's going the wrong way, unfortunately, taking a very similar route to MrBarrybondz, so he's not going to gain any time here.
Yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate. Although I don't blame him. The vanilla location for this key does take a while to get through.
Mm-hmm. He'll be coming up on the big key soon. Meanwhile, MrBarrybondz is warping into the Dark World. Gonna run right by some Lionels. Some of the most difficult enemies in the game, and they're just here and nowhere else where you just walk past them and have no reason to actually stay and fight.
Yeah, I like that. Some people don't know this, but the Master Sword actually cannot damage them whatsoever. So if you're trying to dash through them, you'll just run straight into them.
Yep. So
either you'll see people mirror, or they'll do a hammer dash and stop the hammer dash right at the precise moment before they would come into contact with them, so that way they can hit them and get around them.
I've even seen some runners just opt to wear the cape or use the blue cane and run right by them.
Mm-hmm. There's a key. 2 keys. Are we seeing? Yep, we are seeing the right side of G Tower first.
This is seems to be the route that's currently in vogue in the randomizer community. Check those 2 chests first. If one of them is a key, we go right. If neither of them are a key, you go left.
So MrBarrybondz getting a little bit excited with that fire rod shots, but luckily had that full canister refill.
Yep, and that's always there. That's not randomized, so that's something
I was
you
just
can
afraid
do.
it was gonna get spawned.
Yeah, because he revealed it pretty early.
Yeah.
A little bit scary, but it's good enough.
And there's half magic.
Nice.
The seed heard his, and there's the big key. Oh no.
It's probably the best route you could have asked for from MrBarrybondz. He's going to pick up a second key so he doesn't have to deal with the mini Helmas on his way up, and he is on his way. So things are certainly looking good for him.
Yeah, depending on the route that DT takes, I still think that DT is gonna go right side after seeing those two keys. So that's good. He's just gonna be the same amount of time behind his opponent.
Yeah. So DT can't gain any time realistically on routing unless he was to unless you did something really minor and weird, like pick up only one of the chests in the right side room. That was close to the best possible route, even if you somehow had advanced knowledge, which of course he doesn't. Just a very, very good guess. Curious to see if DT will do the same thing.
So far, a good gauntlet coming from MrBarrybondz here. Ooh, DT getting stuck by Dead Rock.
No, that's never nice to see.
And it looks like he would be able to get past him too.
I don't know. It looks like he was trying.
Must have just caught him at one of those little corners, so that way, just one pixel is preventing Link from passing through. Ooh.
Missed block there.
Try it again, but gets it this time.
Yep. So recovers from the missed easy cycle with a good second cycle.
And Barrybondz needs to be careful though. I mean, he's got that blue potion.
Whoa!
I think that was on purpose.
Oh yeah, I know. Falling off the bridge was on purpose, but he almost stepped off it a little too early.
Oh.
Yep, DT is going right as well. Again, this is the route that's pretty much in vogue, so it's probably very well expected that both runners would do this exact same thing here.
DT got a little bit of trouble to get those.
Just wanted a second chance to kick the block over there because it's so much fun.
Barrybondz getting knocked down.
So if DT avoids the minor mistakes that MrBarrybondz has made so far, he might be able to make up a little bit of time, but unfortunately he was hoping to make up the time on routing.
Yeah, it's going to take... unfortunately, at this point, MrBarrybondz is going to have a fall or a death on Ganon. Not sure. Okay. At first, I thought he was gonna do more of that, and I was like, I mean, if you're in a race, boy, you gotta go.
I mean, he might have some strong feelings about that chest in particular, but
maybe he left silvers and then won too many times.
Perhaps. Alright, here's egg number 2.
Alright, double?
Yep, nice double.
A little bit too close. Okay. I think that might only count as a single.
And a clean double to finish it off. All right.
DT making his way through the last 2 rooms in the gauntlet here.
Well, MrBarrybondz is certainly well equipped for a very quick and clean Ganon fight.
Alright, looks like the rupees didn't know, but at least it was pretty darn close to when they entered Ganon.
The classic Zelda 2 Ganon text.
Is that what that one's from?
Yes. That line references the plot of Zelda 2.
Interesting. I learned something new today.
I better start making really clean work.
Fortunately, a hit from one of the flying fire bats means he could not avoid the first fire bat coming out, but it's not a problem at all. He has life to spare. Did you find the arrows in Dark World? Yes, and here they are. Oh! That was nearly disaster. Wow.
That was pretty spooky. I don't think I've ever seen anything that spooky in a race yet.
He kept his head calm and recovered cleanly.
And he's got one more to go.
Looks like here it is.
Alright, there. Boom, there it is. Alright, we just gotta wait to see if he gets across that bridge.
Oh man, we were just talking about this earlier.
Nope. It looks like
he
he
is
got
safe.
through there, and he has finished with an official SRL time of 1:52:27.
GG.
So MrBarrybondz is finishing this race 3-0. DT 2-1, not bad. MrBarrybondz is shoot in for the big qualifier race. Needs one more to be auto in for the next segment. So GG's and MrBarrybondz, and might be getting an interview here shortly.
Meanwhile, pretty good Aghanim 2 from DT.
That's a really good Aghanim 2 here.
Mm-hmm.
The messages at the end during the credits are they depend on like what certain items had. So if the sick kid had a special item, it'll help say something that he had. Zora had something, you know, if he had just like money, it's life lesson. Since this mushroom was a sword, it says fungus for some slasher. So it's just a little bit of like a nice tribute to this seed, and has like a little bit of fun at the end of it after all your hard work.
I think one of my favorites is if Zora has the mirror, it says "Your face for sale."
Yeah, that one's pretty good. See, DT's got one more hit to go. He got that nice double on the torches. Ooh.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
Super clean Ganon
from
fight.
DT. All right, let's see if he makes it across this bridge here. And he does.
And he does
looks
it.
like, yeah, DT finishing with an official SRL time of 1:55:07, only about a 2-minute and 40-second time difference. So that probably came down to just the extra work and getting those pendants.
Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately for DT, Barrybondz made some great gambles and
Absolutely.
played well enough to back it up.
So it looks like Barrybondz is in the waiting room, and I'm sure that DT is going to be joining in here shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and drag him in. GG, Mr. Barrybondz, on your win today. How are you feeling?
Not too bad. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Couple of things I want to talk about, but first I want to get your feelings for the seed. Like, how did you feel about it?
I actually thought it was a pretty good seed. I went into Thieves Town by accident. I thought it was a crystal. That would have saved me a lot of time.
Oh, interesting. I don't think we picked up on that at all.
I thought it was a crystal, so I was like, I'm just gonna get it done.
Yeah, because like Thieves Town is normally a place that you go to either way, so we didn't really think much of it. We thought you were just taking a minor chance that something might be in there.
Yeah, like I didn't have hammer, so I thought maybe hammer would be in there. And it
Yeah.
was crystal, so I was like, I'll just get it done.
And we have in the name of DT in the room as well. GG to you. And how are you feeling
Thanks.
about the seed?
It was a pretty frustrating seed, I'm not gonna lie. It was just one of those, you check everything that seems to make sense, and it's not, the items that you need are not in those spots.
Yes, welcome to Randomizer, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty funky seed.
Yeah, it was a very interesting seed to watch, because even from the very beginning, one of you would go off in one direction, the other one would go off in the second direction, and you would do a bunch of stuff. You were both finding valuable items, and then you would immediately switch places and do the other one.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, towards the end there, a lot of you guys were synced up. So like, you guys both made the ice pods play at the same time. Then after that, you guys like, you started to just kind of follow one another. It's as if you guys were operating on the same brainlet wave.
It's interesting. Probably made for a pretty entertaining race then.
Oh yeah, it allowed us
absolutely.
to have some theorizing on what location could have certain items that you guys were looking for. Unfortunately, you know, one of the plays that I was thinking about that kind of hurt Barry a little bit is he went into pod first right after Aghanim because you know, you're right there. You might as well go straight and go ahead and check that location, but immediately got bowed lock. And so after he got the bow from the old man up on Death Mountain, went back in there without the hammer or the mirror. And as we know, we found, or you all found the mirror there. But yeah, just not having hammer there forced him to kind of take the long way around that entire dungeon.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like, I think the first thing I did. I went into Skull Woods, found the gloves, and then I went directly to... I went to Eastern Palace first, and then I went to Pod.
Yeah, it was, my very first move in the Dark World was going straight to Skull Woods, which is where I found Bombos, the glove, and I felt pretty good about finding the glove right there. Yeah, I guess it works out then that Pod was bow-locked. I actually, as soon as I jumped into the river to swim north, my first thought was, you know what, crap, I should have done that, because Pod and Thieves Town were both pendants. They essentially carry kind of the same weight then. Of course, that wouldn't have mattered anyway, now that we know that Pod was bow-locked.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. All I'm saying is like, but yeah, pretty interesting seed. A little bit of a fetch quest. I mean, the mushroom turned into a sword. Nothing came much out of the the shovel, and neither of you guys ever found powder, but you guys actually carry the same exact items. Both of you guys have 3 bottles, almost had the same amount of heart count, so it was really interesting. Although I'm kind of like, I mean, we're glad that you didn't go all the way into Swamp Palace, but neither of you guys decided to make the Sahasrahla gamble.
Yeah, by the time that I got through Swamp, I felt super behind. By the time that I found the Ice Rod, it kind of justified my decision to go there, and I just thought, you know what? We'll take the gamble. This will be our one big gamble for the race. We'll skip out on Green Pendant Argus and just get straight up to Turtle Rock at that point. Because I was contemplating doing Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod before doing Swamp. And I'm glad that I didn't in the end.
I
But
thought about doing that too.
Yeah, that's something that in this latest version of the randomizer, like, seems to pay off more than it has in the past. So it's always something that's got to be in the back of your mind. Like, maybe I'll find the Ice Rod in there.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, both of you guys went into Thieves Town without the hammer. Did either of you guys fear that that chest had something necessary?
I don't normally. It's one item. There's a good chance that you're going to find even all 4 items anyway. Map or compass tend to be in there pretty frequently, and when it is the big chest, it's kind of junk. So that's a gamble I guess I'm okay with making every time.
I was a little bit worried. I actually thought Thieves Town was a crystal, so when I got the blue pendant, I thought maybe I threw the race.
Yeah, and again, like, pendant to use is something that's often checked anyway, so I would have been surprised if one of you had skipped it for very long.
It felt like a big waste too, because when I got done, I got nothing.
Yeah. And I knew as soon as I got through Blind Cell that Blind the boss wasn't actually going to have an item, because we had gotten all 4 items at that point, and I contemplated getting out of there right away, but without the mirror, I kind of had to decide, do I save and quit? Do I death warp? Do I just beat the boss? And I just, you know what, let's just beat the boss. That'll be the most efficient way to just get out of here.
That and there was always a potential for the pedestal seed.
I actually got a little worried about that between Flute, Ice Rod, or even the Titan's Mitts. Those all could have been there. So I checked that reasonably early.
Yeah, we were thinking about that, because when we saw Full Crystal Light World, we're like, okay, well, this kind of makes, the pedestal hype, really very, like, niche. It's going to be something that's, it's rare to see 3 pendants in Dark World and still see a pendant seed, or not a pendant seed, a pedestal seed. But yeah, when we saw the placements of it at Pod, Swamp Palace, and Thieves Town, we're like, okay, this is a formation that could, potentially plant something there. And it really only came down to really the Ice Rod or the Flute being there. And, you guys will find that, and you checked it, and it was just Couch Cast.
Yeah, I think I checked it. I went to go clear Skull Woods and checked it at the same time.
Okay. See, I didn't have the mirror at that point when I checked it, so I actually made a special trip over there, checked it before going to finish off Eastern, and I used that as my decision to really even do much with Pod. And then, of course, Helmosaur still had an item, so I went for it anyway. But that would have given me even more incentive to do the Eastern Pod double play if it was a pedestal.
And then the other thing that was really interesting is we talked a lot about Aghanim at the beginning of this seed. We saw the sword, we saw the lamp, we saw the cape, and we're like, okay, maybe the seed's kind of pushing towards Aghanim. And then you got the mushroom, and then you got the master sword. It's like, okay, the seed's really pushing towards Aghanim right now. So it was really interesting to just like see the seed kind of screaming it. And you guys went up there a couple of times and were like, okay, maybe he's going to Aghanim now. No, he's not. No, he's going somewhere else. Wait, maybe now he's going to Aghanim. No, wait. No, oh, this time he's going to Aghanim.
Yeah, like with version 26, you don't really want to skip too many things because Like you could go for the early Ega play, which would give you early access to the Dark World, but there's so many places to check still.
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys did amazing. You guys performed very well in the seed. Unfortunately, Barry just had better a couple extra gambles that paid off for him, and then just the routing in general. But I mean, 2 minutes difference, that's not a big thing. And so DT performed really amazing on the seed as well. So going 2-1 for DT and 3-0 for MrBarrybondz, nabbing that for sure big group race. So you got to feel good about that. But you're probably going to be pushing for at least 4 wins to get yourself into the next stage, huh?
Yeah, definitely. And now I have the fear of facing Christos.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what? So maybe it's good that you beat me then, because maybe now I don't have to go against him.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a scary match.
Oh, no doubt. Well, GG though. Congrats, Barry.
Thank you. And I also knew I had to make gambles because I know DT's a good NMG runner, so he's got really good execution. So he'd probably beat me on the hour.
Well, if we see you guys in like the next stage, then we'll have to hope for a rematch. This is a very exciting match to watch.
Yeah, this was very fun to watch and commentate. So thank you guys for playing as well as you did.
Well, Aaron, Nennies, thanks for commentating.
Speaking of, please take some time and throw a follow to both of our runners tonight. They did a great job and definitely deserve your support.
Oh, absolutely. Exclamation point R in chat. We'll give you a link straight to their channels, and you can see them do more practice races throughout the week while they wait for their matches to come up. And it'll give you alerts when they go live, and you won't miss another one of their races. Fantastic people.
And speaking of not missing a race, we've got more Randomizer coming up starting tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is, I believe, in just under 12 hours. I think that's going to be on Speed Gaming 2. Going to be a 4-way race, 2 1v1 races at the same time.
Is there anything going on in the secondary tournament?
The secondary tournament next race, I think, is happening a few hours after that. Let's see, I think it's at 4 p.m. Eastern is when that starts.
Gotcha. So
Yep.
we got plenty of races lined up for you this weekend. So stay tuned to Speed Gaming and Randomizer Mania. Anything in closing from our racers?
I just wanted to touch base on one thing. I feel like the gamble I made in Turtle Rock, where I didn't check those last 2 chests, that actually worried me because I was like, I only have two medallions.
Oh yeah, one of them was a heart container, and then I think the top one was like arrows.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I had considered the possibility that Quake would have been required for Misery Mire, but by the time I found the flute, I just didn't care.
That's definitely fair. All right, so I think that's going to be it for us for tonight. Thank you all for spending your evening with us. Thanks again to the runners for putting on such a great show for us. I'm Aaron Doby. I've been commentating this race for you with Ninnies. And have a great night, everyone. See you next mission.
Absolutely. Big shouts out to Fiesel for restreaming this.